On the Radio is brought to you by Zurich Insurance, the perfect place to catch up with all things Melbourne. If you enjoy this content and want more inside access from the team, make sure you visit the club website.
Right now we're talking Melbourne and their defender Jake Lever, who has been excellent. First 2 weeks, the back six has been very, very good, and the Demons are 2-0 for the first time in 4 years, which not many people would have anticipated, I don't think, and that's a nice place to be in, but it's just a start. Jake Lever's been good enough to join us. Go, Jake.
Hey guys, thanks very much for having me.
Great result on the weekend. This was a win against Fremantle, which there was a bit of pressure around that because people kept saying, what happens if they don't? And this one, I think, rubber stamped what happened in that first round. You seem to be in a good place, the whole group.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, we've had a lot of belief as a footy club, especially this pre-season, in what we're able to produce. But, to obviously come out in the first two games and somewhat play the way that we want to play, I think is fantastic. But, yeah, as you said, Gary, just then, it's only the start, and that's how we're looking at it as a footy club. And I know the boys are pretty keen to just continue on and really bring our strengths and play the way that we want to.
Hey, Jake, you're right. It is only the start. Just take us back to the start of that game and the build-up to that game. Very emotional there at Marvel Stadium on Saturday night. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that the whole game and the whole week's build-up was centred around the game, and it was fantastic initiative from everyone involved. And obviously with the Frawley family, we've got a little bit of a tie in there with Angus Brayshaw, obviously dating Danny's daughter, Danielle. So for us to be able to be involved in the game, I know Angus took a lot of pride in that, and for us it was a real privilege. And I think, as you know, the hashtag and the motto was time to talk, and I think it's just a fantastic game to be involved in. And Angus spoke a little bit about the impact that it's had on him and the family, and running out there. I really think it's just a great initiative in the game, and it was fantastic to be involved in.
It was a great initiative, and it was beautifully executed at the weekend. Jake, your play's been great too. You've been executing your role really well. You and May have struck up a really good understanding and a partnership back there. I just wonder, we're loving the changes to the game. How have you found it as a defender with more flow in the play?
Oh, look, I think that as you've seen over the first couple of rounds, it's definitely puts the defenders under a little bit more pressure than probably what we're used to. But I think by round 3 or 4, you probably get used to it. But for me, I think that it's great. I think that I'm a big fan of watching football, and I've loved watching the games that are not ours over the past 2 weekends. And to see the high scoring back and everything like that, I think it's fantastic. And the long quarters as well, I think that's probably something that's probably been missed in terms of the rule changes in talking about it, because last year I think that most quarters were 6 or 7 minutes less, and that's where a lot of the scoring happens because of the fatigue. So I think that the rule changes have been good for us, but as a defender you're probably under a little bit more pressure. But as you said, I've been super proud of the back seven that we've been able to play over the first couple of weeks at the footy club. I think that we've really worked hard in the pre-season to get that cohesion, and to get it was fantastic for the first 2 weeks. But again, it's only the start, and we're looking forward to keep challenging ourselves.
Adam Tomlinson's been a little bit of a surprise packet, I guess. He was recruited more to play midfield and wing, and then late last year he went back. He looks like he's settled in with you boys very nicely. Can play tall and small. He uses it pretty well. He looks like a natural.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Adam's one that he really come back in great nick over the pre-season, and he's an elite runner. So for us to be able to have him down there, it's been an absolute privilege. And as you said, it was probably his turn on the weekend. I think he really dominated through that third quarter and really saved us a few times. So and I think that's what we've been speaking about as a back seven, that not everyone's going to have these dominant games all the time. Not all 7 of us are going to play best on ground football, but when it's our turn, when it's our moment, we just have to really take it. And I think that's what we've done throughout the first 2 weeks. Myself and Steve probably didn't hold as many marks as we would have the week before, but as you said, it was Adam's turn, and it was fantastic to see him play that way.
Talking to Jake Lever, Cozzy Pickett, what about his performance on Saturday night and the excitement that surrounds him?
Yeah, well, he's my favourite player, boys. I can tell you that right now. He is an absolute pleasure to watch. I'm glad I'm standing up the other end because for 7 weeks of the pre-season and for the whole 12 weeks that we had last year of the pre-season, I had to stand quite near him and it's a spectacle to watch, but I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a headache for opposition defenders. And I think that, for him, I think that the story's kind of been out there that he went back to Adelaide, obviously the sad passing of his mum early on in the year, but him going back there, he trained with the Woodville West Torrens. He went up and got up at 6 a.m. every morning to do an F45 session in Adelaide, and he was away for us for 3 weeks. And I think that if you would, if you give most footballers that or most guys that, you'd come back and you'd probably need 1 or 2 weeks in the reserves. But for him, he played half a game of football in the reserves, and we knew that he was ready. So it's an absolute credit to himself to be able to come back and really be in that position to perform strongly. So I'm really happy for him. But as I said, boys, he is my favourite player by far at the minute.
Is it the stuff we're seeing? I mean, you guys are more exposed to it on a daily basis. Is this sort of what we can expect? I mean, every game, are you going to see the attempt at the mark of the century and the goal of the year? Is that what he's about?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, I played with a pretty handy footballer in Eddie Betts over in Adelaide, and I could see, you used to see Eddie do this stuff at training all the time, and Cozzy's the exact same. I think it was his first week at the club, I remember spoiling the ball down to the boundary, picked it up one-handed and snapped the right foot banana from the boundary. And I didn't really know what to say. He just looked at him and he just kind of just casually walked off as he does. But he's just, I think that stuff comes naturally to him. But the thing that I'm loving from him at the minute is his pressure and tackling. Like, it makes our job down in defence so much easier when you've got, not only Cozzy, but Charlie Spargo, Alex Neil-Bullen. We've got these smaller types now that are really hunting the footy, and when opposition defenders are getting it, I don't think they're having too much time. So, it's pretty exciting stuff. But, you see it training all the time, so it's no surprise for us.
And it's probably only going to get better if Ben Brown and Sam Wiedemann get back out there too, so that he's got a couple of big marking players to hover around. How are those two tracking at the moment?
Yeah, really well. I think it's going to be quite funny. I think they're all back at the same time. Both of those guys will look to play VFL footy in probably 2 or 3 weeks. I think it might be early round 1 for the VFL. I think the timing is. So, for us, it's really good. And you've got other guys in the reserves that, at the minute, that probably would have walked into our starting 22, whether it was a year ago or 2 years ago. So we've obviously got Jake Melksham, Michael Hibbert. These guys are getting quality time in the VFL because the guys in the AFL are performing in the minute. But I think for us, it's going to be great because, when a player might have a down week or get injured, that these guys in the VFL are really ready. So, but I think Sam and Ben are tracking really well, and they'll be back at the same time. I'm pretty sure that's the case. So, it's pretty exciting to have those guys coming back, especially with how well our forward line is functioning at the minute.
Hey, Jake, it's great to talk to you, mate. Before we go, I've got a lot of concerned messages coming through about whether you're going to shave that moustache off or not. I said I'd ask. It's got none of my business, but a lot of people want to know.
Yeah, it must just be your listeners there, Gary. I think a lot of people are happy with it, they reckon.
Good,
so that's why
good.
I'm keeping it.
That's it.
I'll be keeping it.
Stick with it. Thanks for joining us. Good start to the year for the Demons. It's lovely to watch, and good luck for the rest of it.
No, thank you very much for having me.
I did, Jake.